Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Here is a direct quote from Hillary Rodham Clinton in 1998. Quote, "Bill is the greatest husband and father I know. No one is more faithful, true, and honest than he is." Some things change, don't they? Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. I'm Zeb Bell. Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, some of our great advertisers, including Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service, get rid of your garbage. Call them at 734-6969. And Valley-Wide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Everything for the farm, the home, and the ranch at Valley-Wide Home and Ranch. Right now, let's go over to the main studios and get our Pledge of Allegiance person on the air. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Bell.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Well, let's have a new week and let's see what can get stirred up.
There's enough out there right now. We don't need a big spoon, I'll tell you that.
Oh, I tell you, it's getting rottener every day.
You know, I'm going to make a couple of stories that I know you'll be interested in here in just a little bit, and I'm going to make a prediction. And it's a prediction I hope does not come true. So stay tuned for that in about 5-6 minutes. Thank you very much. All right.
Bye.
Hey, it's time for the weather, and the weather is brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. The number to call, 678-6945. They've got everything, carpet, flooring, kitchen construction, home decor items, whatever you need to make your house a home. And by the way, Whitney sent some of these little tips about how to make your rooms look more friendly and make them look bigger. If your room doesn't have much natural light, put a mirror opposite a window so it reflects the natural lighting. Hey, there you go. Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley, 678-6945. And right now here is Michael Rogers' weather.
Start of a brand spanking new week of UV and weather. Good morning, everybody. Our weather story for the week is going to be nice and warm today, and then the temperatures are going to slowly but surely get cooler into the 60s as you work your way toward the later portion of the week, with showers and thunderstorms in that forecast. Otherwise, sunny today, 81 for the high, 73 for the high tomorrow. Slight chance of a shower and thunderstorm tonight. Going into tomorrow, tapering off for tomorrow. I'll be in the Magic Valley on May 8th, staying for approximately, about a week. I just finished my first celebrity photo shoot where I shot pop star Mariah Carey as she makes her way into Caesar's Palace. Where am I going with this? I'm available for portraits and headshots when I get there. All you have to do is contact me at 702-250-2114. Give Zeb a call, and I'll be there for the entire week, and I'll do you a good job. I did Mariah Carey a good job. I'll do you a good job. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
You know, Michael is good. Very good, as a matter of fact. Hey, don't forget, Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley, 678-6945. Look for the blue door. Oh, my goodness. We had a busy, busy weekend, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the events that took place over the weekend going into the first of this week. And I want to talk in just a few minutes about now we can't use a certain word. We're supposed to cut back on the word thug. We'll tell you about that in just a minute. Don't forget Daryl's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Oh, my goodness sakes. Don't throw away old items. You know, maybe they can be restored. Take them in there to Kevin at Daryl's Cleaners and show them the items that you want to save and preserve. Let them take a look before you decide to just all of a sudden throw it in the trash can. My goodness sakes. Stop into Daryl's Cleaners. They can clean anything. They are very good at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Daryl's Cleaners, serving you. Also want to say thank you. We had the sales manager for SafeLink Internet on our program last week. And I want to say thanks to SafeLink Internet. And it's Idaho's #1 choice for wireless internet. And don't forget, easy to get on the program with high-speed internet in your home with SafeLink. No contracts, no credit checks, unlimited data. They serve you. Service is the key word. Call them 677-8000. SafeLink Internet, serving you. All right, calls are welcome. 436-2224, 1-866-927-4587. Ladies and gentlemen, we are, and I want to be very, very blunt about this. I'm not going to hedge on anything. I think we're on the precipice of a very dangerous situation right now around the United States and the world. And we are seeing anarchy. We're seeing trials and tribulations. We're seeing people that want to absolutely throw away and overthrow our lifestyle. And right now, the black rioters in Baltimore and other locations around the United States, they are really upset because one person started this movement the other day and was on television and said that we, basically the media, are guilty. What are we doing here, Deanne? Okay, thank you. We're guilty of using a word, thugs. And they, the black rioters and criminals, are offended by the word thug. They say it is comparable to us using the N-word against them. I was absolutely stunned when I heard this on the news the other day. I don't care if a criminal, and these are criminals, I don't care if they're white, I don't care if they're brown, I don't care if they're black, I don't care if they're yellow. If they are looting and burning and destroying, they are thugs. Bottom line, I will never stop using that terminology on this program. They say that's a racist statement, and I'd like somebody to call me right now and explain to me, please, how in the world you can look at what they've done with the burning and the looting and the destroying and everything else and not call them thugs. There's a lot of words I would rather use, but I can't use it on the radio. My goodness, what a society we have. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. By the way, Valleywide Home and Ranch at 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Deanne just handed me this. Is this going to be coming up on what day, Goober? That's going to be what? What day is this going to be on?
Tomorrow.
Oh, it's tomorrow, Tuesday, from 4:30 to 6 at Valleywide Home and Ranch, a kids growing session. They're going to have special way that the kids can learn about plants, and they're going to have a kids growing kit. Not for the kids to grow, but for the plants to grow. They're going to teach these kids how plants grow in the soil and how to have their own vegetable garden and everything. This is really going to be neat tomorrow night from 4:30 to 6 at Valleywide Home and Ranch. Ranch. Don't forget, stop over to Valleywide, and they can certainly help you with everything you need. Now, also, I want to remind you this. For a limited time only, Valleywide Home and Ranch will swap out your tank, conduct a thorough leak and safety check, and then refill your tank with 100 gallons of propane, all for just $99. All of this going on at Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. You stop in and see those good folks today at Valleywide Home and Ranch. While we're on the subject of people that take care of you, I also want to remind you about Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. The number to call is 678-0459. They will have all your light bulbs there waiting for you. You don't have to be in the dark. You do not have to go to the light, go to the light. Yes, sirree, they got them all. They got all the light bulbs, all the fluorescent lights. They've got all the ballast and the repair parts, the wire, the fuses, the cords, everything for your electrical and heating needs at Valleywide, Ramsey Heating and Electric. Hey, man, get the brain engaged. 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Ramsey Heating and Electric, 678-0459. And they open the doors at 7:30 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon, Monday through Friday, at Ramsey Heating and Electric. Your turn. Give me a call. Can't use the word thugs anymore. What are your thoughts on that? What are you going to call these people? I mean, my goodness, the news media has to parse their words now. According to some, they have to be extremely careful about what they call the bad people. And they have to be extremely careful that they don't incite anybody else by calling them thugs. That's what they are. They're punks and thugs. You know, I want you to think about this a little bit, please. Pretty soon, and I want your opinion on this morning because I thought a lot about this after I watched and studied the news this weekend. Pretty soon in this country, if we're not already there, like I said, on the precipice of trouble, mark my words, and this is where I hope I am wrong. I mentioned this to Al a little bit ago. There is going to be a vast shortage of police officers. Why would anyone want to become a police officer? Your hands are tied, one behind you. You have to be so careful and so thorough. You cannot make a mistake, and the public is all over you. And why should they put their lives on the line? Why should they have the opportunity not to come home at night and see their family and sit down in their lazy boy and enjoy a little rest after a very haggard day? Because of the complete idiots that are out there on the street. This past weekend, a 25-year-old NYPD officer and his partner stopped a black thug. Yeah, he's a thug. Because they saw something in the waistband of his trousers, and it turned out to be a gun, but they hesitated. And this officer, 25 years of age, went up and asked him, and automatically this black punk thug reached down, grabbed the gun, and shot the officer in the face. Shot him in the face. Where's the public outcry? Where's everybody getting mad and saying that they're going to riot and they're going to burn in favor of this police officer? Where's everybody getting on the news? Where's everybody getting on the news media? Where's everybody writing stories for the newspaper saying, oh, that poor police officer? There isn't anybody. The guy that they stopped had a rap sheet and a trouble sheet as long as your arm. And he reached down, pulled out the gun, and shot this 25-year-old police officer right in the face. He may not make it. He might not live. And I have no idea what the damage will be and the restoration of his facial features. I have no idea if he does live, what kind of a life, what kind of horrific surgery is he going to have to go through? Where's the outcry? Where is the outcry? And then, to make matters worse, after this white police officer was shot in the face, the dumb, and they are dumb, actors like Morgan Freeman and film producer Michael Moore came out saying that we suffer from the police and, quote, white cops are dangerous. Ladies and gentlemen, do you see where this is headed? Honestly, I see this headed for a federalized national police force. And then, Katie barred the door. All of us, our freedoms are gone. I'm telling you that the mess in Baltimore is just one more incision. It's one more cut. It's one more method and means to take control over you and me. Please call me and let me know your thoughts. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't be silent on this. While I'm waiting for your call that I know is coming in, Denny's Restaurant, and they have two locations at 611 Overland in Burley and a brand new one at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Oh my goodness, and the food is fantastic. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, and I mean the service, they really take care of you. And I was just absolutely astounded with the way Denny's Restaurant personnel handled that great big huge party we had for Russell Smith over there during the last Zeb's Lunch Bunch. Oh my goodness, it was so jam-packed, and the girls were phenomenal getting all the food served, and I just can't brag on them enough. Wonderful job. Headed up by Thomas and Terry and the whole crew. They serve you great food any time of the day at Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see them today. Really good folks. You know, when you come up with a story like this on the police and where we are at in this country, we are really living on the edge, and we could very easily fall into the abyss. I'm really concerned. And then what happened last night in Dallas with the shootings? Two Muslim men were waiting outside. They are claiming that they perhaps had connection to ISIS. And there was a free speech gathering in Dallas last night. And these guys were sitting outside with AK-47s trying to kill everybody that walked out the door. Fortunately, one security officer, they drew his attention. They did shoot him in the ankle, but thank God that man is going to be all right. And other officers were on the scene protecting the event, a free speech event for the United States of America, and thankfully they shot and killed the two perpetrators. I mean, every time you turn around. Give me a call, please, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Barry Equipment and Rental, Eli, Nick, everybody, boy, do they serve you. And I know that at all three locations, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, South Lincoln and Jerome, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, they've got all the Bobcat excavators, skid steer loaders, compact track loaders. Oh, my goodness, they got all the equipment that you need to get the job done right. And they got a brand new guy working there. His name's Will Janes. He's a good guy, and he's going to be specializing in Doosan, Bobcat, and Coyote lines, and we're going to get him on the air later this week. Good old boy, Will Janes at Barry Equipment and Rental. And don't forget, three locations, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, South Lincoln and Jerome, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Your turn. Come on, folks. These things are much too important not to elaborate on. I just can't imagine how these Hollywood actors that have never done anything but read a script, study a script, stand in one place, move to another place thanks to a director, and all of a sudden their intelligence propels them to the top of the heap, and they come out with comments like, "We suffer from the police and white cops are dangerous." Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Sam.
Yes, sir.
It goes to show you we better have our weapons ready and loaded. to defend ourselves.
I could not agree more. As a matter of fact, after what I saw this weekend, and knowing the events of what's taking place in this country, I absolutely adhere to what you say, that we need to have protection for our families, our homes, and our property, more so now than ever before, and know what to do in the time of emergency.
Yeah, I've stressed to my kids and grandkids get these concealed weapons permits and practice.
Yeah, and you know, Fred, and along with that, I would just reiterate too, not only get the concealed weapons permits and the guns necessary now, and I know a lot of people are going to criticize me, saying that I'm preaching for armed citizenry and possible insurrection. No, I'm preaching for safety. I'm preaching for your safety, my safety, because, you know, there's a lot of bad people out there that want to do a lot of bad things.
Absolutely, there's no question about it. That's the reason we got to be armed.
That's right, Fred. I'm glad you.
Yeah, you got to teach safety.
Absolutely.
That's part of taking the class.
You know, we have seen what happened over in Europe with a citizenry that was just run over by Gestapo tactics, and I certainly hope it doesn't happen here. Fred, I got to get a commercial break in. God bless you, my friend. Thank you so much. Thank you. You know, what he just said is really true. I'm not advocating that everybody walk around with a 357 on their hip or whatever, but what I am advocating is that with the bad people out there, and you don't know if they're here, if they're in Cedar City, Utah, if they're in Billings, Montana, Sacramento, California, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, you don't know where the bad people are going to be and what's going to happen next, but we have to be prepared. Callers, stand by. I'll be right with you, I promise. I'm running a little bit late. Landscaping and Sprinkler Service with Scott 336 South, 450 West of Paul. Pruning your trees, they can do it. They're the best. Getting the stumps out of the ground, absolutely the best. Putting in a new sprinkler system or revamping your old one, they are the best. Call them today at 438-2485. Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service, serving you. Real quick, Penetron Soil Conditioner by Maisie. You better believe it speeds germination, reducing crusting, improving stands, stimulating root growth and microbial activity, and Penetron can save on irrigation water. That's right, that's a big saving right there. Penetron treated crops have better roots that reduce stress for water and nutrients, and you can increase your crop's performance with a proven soil conditioner, Penetron by Maisie. You better believe it. Contact your crop advisor for a Penetron soil conditioner today. It's absolutely the best. Caller, real quick, you're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. Peter King said it right this morning. If you need a cop, don't call a cop. Call Al Sharpton. He'll take care of things for you.
Isn't that pathetic?
Yeah.
You know, Tony, I want to ask you this real quick. Fred brought it up, and I think it's a situation that needs to be addressed. The police can't be anywhere all the time. They can't be everywhere all the time. And we as a citizenry have to learn how to protect ourselves, and there seems to be this demagoguing and diminishing of those of us that want to protect our families and our property, and boy, that makes me all the more incensed that we need to really make sure we've got the means and the methods to stop the bad guys when they try to do harm to us.
Oh, I'm all for that. I mean, I'm not going to take to the streets with a gun, but I'll tell you one thing. Somebody broke into my house. You just called the morgue wagon.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to let anybody attack my home.
Yeah, there can be many that'll criticize me and the subject matter on this program, but I really advocate that people become extremely aware and learn how to protect themselves and their family. Tony, I wish I had more time. I got to get a hard break in at the bottom of the hour, but God bless you and Mary. Good to hear from you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Hey, we got the Capital Press Ag Minute coming up next, and it's brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology. Yes, sirree. Telephone number to call for a hearing screening appointment, 312-0957. And they're, of course, right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room, Mount Harrison Audiology. And don't forget, uncorrected hearing loss gives rise to poorer quality of life. Yep, I know for a fact, when you can't hear, it just kind of diminishes the value of the day. Isolation and reduced social activity, which can lead to depression. It's true. So please have your hearing screening today at Mount Harrison Audiology. Number to call, 312-0957. Here now, the Capital Press Ag Minute.
Today's Ag Minute brought to you by the Capital Press, the West Ag Weekly. Bird flu appears to have subsided in the Pacific Northwest, but its most virulent form is ravaging chicken and turkey operations in parts of the Midwest, leading to the deaths of 13 million birds in Minnesota, Iowa, North and South Dakota, and Wisconsin. Now animal health officials along the East Coast are bracing for bird flu to show up there. It's not a matter of if, but when, said one official. The key to the spread of bird flu is the migratory pattern of wild birds, which carry the disease but are unaffected by it. The flu is spread to commercial and backyard flocks through feathers and waste from the wild birds. Several countries, including China, Russia, and Thailand, have banned the import of poultry from the U.S. For the Capital Press Ag Minute, this is Brandon Tenner.
For more agriculture news and information, turn to the West Ag Weekly, the Capital Press, and CapitalPress.com.
I learned so much about hearing and what we need to do to protect our hearing from Christine Pickup, Doctor of Audiology, and that's at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, right there across from the emergency room in Rupert. Number to call, 312-0957. Hey, guess what time it is on a Monday? It's time to give away a half dozen delicious cinnamon rolls from Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street on the square in Rupert. And the number to call after you're the winner. If you're the winner, you call 436-0354 and tell her what time you're going to be in to get your cinnamon rolls, and then they'll be fresh as can be. Oh, they're good. Now, if you've won in the past, you are not eligible to win again. I mean, I've had some repeats, and we got to be fair to everybody. And so if you've won in the past, no, you are ineligible. So this is the question for today. And this may be an easy question. I don't know. What character on the television series Gunsmoke, remember the old TV series Gunsmoke, used to sing with the Tommy Dorsey Band? What character on Gunsmoke used to sing with the Tommy Dorsey Band? What is the name of the character on the show and the real name of the actor? That's the question. 436-2244. What's the name of the character and the actor's name? Okay? On Gunsmoke, who sang with the Tommy Dorsey Band? Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Come on, first person to call with the right answer gets a half dozen delicious cinnamon rolls. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Was it Festus?
What is the actor's name?
Ken Curtis.
Who is this?
Paul Peterson.
Paul Peterson, you old Doc Walloper, you are the winner.
Well, thank you.
You're very welcome. God bless you. Yes, it was Ken Curtis, and Festus was the character name. He used to sing with the Tommy Dorsey Band, and also, did you know he sang with the Sons of the Pioneers?
Yeah, I happened to see a tape on that the other day, matter of fact, and I had to look at him twice to make sure it was him.
Yeah, it is. Well, Paul, God bless you, man. Thank you so much.
Have a good day.
You bet. Thank you. There you go. Paul Peterson's the winner. It was Ken Curtis. He played Festus. Festus Hagen from Colorado. And Ken was, and also, I got to tell you a little personal note on that. I had a chance to meet him one time when I was announcing the Clovis Rodeo down in the Fresno area. Clovis is a kind of a suburb city to Fresno, and he lived in that area, and he had a box that he would buy, a ticket box, where he would have his family and friends, and at the Clovis Rodeo. Very nice man. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. While I'm waiting for your calls, I mean, folks, honestly, look at the situation. Look at the situation in Baltimore. Look at now what's happening with the blatant disregard and disrespect for our police forces. And listen to what people that are absolutely dumb, like Morgan Freeman and Michael Moore, saying we suffer from the police and white cops are dangerous, throwing logs on the fire to cause more dissent. This is absolutely ridiculous what's going on in this country. Caller, your indulgence and patience. Let me get this commercial in and I'll have time to visit with you. Stand by. Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley, right next to Dot Foods. You call Tim Vaughn today at 431-7314. Absolutely, they can give you all the estimates you need on your on-the-farm grain bin storage. They're an authorized dealer in Sioux Cub, Chief Balin, and Nucor buildings. Or maybe you need, of course, cement work done. They do all the alleys and mangers. I'm coming, caller, I promise. Don't forget Streamline Precision. The number to call, 431-7314. And they can handle all your dirt moving needs, too. They got the big side dump trucks. They've got it all for you. So take the time to call Streamline Precision in Burley, 431-7314. Tim Vaughn. Streamline Precision, the professionals working for you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. That cow sounds like the one that I worked on this ranch, and the owner would leave periodically, and I would be delegated to milk the cow. The first time I milked that cow, it looked around at me and like, you could read its mind. It said, "What do you think you're doing?" But on a serious note, Al Sharpton, of course, has called for a national police force, basically to take over all the jurisdiction, and that's what they really are all about. And of course, the fact that these 6 police officers, they're going to be hung out to dry, and it's a done deal. It's a political butchery of the police departments, and of course, years ago there was a movement just like this to federalize the police and to radicalize them, and the John Birch Society came out with a program which was very effective: support your local police and keep them independent. And that needs to be emphasized again. It's the most important elected office in the country really is the sheriff. And if the sheriff capitulates and allows the feds to take over, we've lost our rights as citizens.
Well,
aware of that as well.
Well, I just want to say this. I think right now, I don't care what political affiliation anyone has, I think right now, as I said when I started the program, we are on the precipice. We have our boot heels on the edge of the canyon. And if we allow these thugs and punks and these absolute criminals, these raging animals, to basically dictate law enforcement in this country and desecrate and diminish the value of our police forces in our communities, we are in trouble.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right there. But the attack is on, and when you get people, actually, I'm glad there was Al Sharpton that made these radical statements, because people, I think, most common sense patriotic Americans realize who Al Sharpton is.
Well, here's the thing.
But he said it makes it, but still the national media picks up on this thing. Well, the local people can't handle it. We got to bring in national troops, and and nationalize our police force under the federal bureaucracy.
I am so offended by Al Sharpton going to the forefront on this. Here's a guy that is over $5 million in debt to the IRS on his back taxes, and he's getting away with it with an open-door policy to the White House anytime he wants to. And if I'm going to come right out and say it, when you look up the definition of the word thug, that is the epitome of what Al Sharpton is. He is nothing more than a little banty rooster thug.
Well, I would ditto that. That is absolutely, that is absolutely right. He gets away with tax evasion and all this kind of stuff, and gets around. They call him in to Ferguson. They call him in to Baltimore, in New York. No matter where he shows up, he's just like a cancer that spreads around the country with his thuggery.
I got to go, but I appreciate your comments as always. Thank you, Adrian. God bless. And I think I will not back up on this. Some of the blacks. This is turning into a color issue, and it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Bad people are bad people, regardless of the color. That's why I said earlier, I don't care if they're white, brown, black, yellow, whatever. Bad people are bad people, and they should be corrected and incarcerated. But for Al Sharpton, of all people, to go out and diminish and desecrate our police and call them names, and he is the epitome of a thug and a punk. He's a lawbreaker. Don't tell me anything different. Oh, Mini-Cash sales. Thank goodness for these wonderful people. I really appreciate Zach and the rest of the folks at Mini-Cash sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley, right across from the airport. Why do I appreciate them? Because they bring you and sponsor Dr. History on Tuesdays. You better believe it. We thank them very much. For all your spring remodeling, don't forget all the lumber, all the shingles, all the windows, everything, all your quality carpet. They've got it all. And the people that can help you get it installed. They are great. Mini-Cash Sales in Burley, 878-2091. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Don't go away. Also, Mother's Day's coming up right around the corner. Don't forget to drift in at 545 F Street in Rupert for a very special Mother's Day. Make your reservations right now. Call 436-1300. They're going to have special hours on Mother's Day, 11 to 3. Prime rib, finger steaks, butterfly shrimp. Oh, chicken cordon bleu. At the Drift Inn for Mother's Day in Rupert. And also Colonel Dale and the crew at the Book Plaza, 222 West 11th Street in Burley. Everything for Mom, all the special moments figurines, precious moments I should say, and all the books, everything at the Book Plaza. Wonderful, wonderful store. You'll never go out of there empty-handed. 222 West 11th Street in Burley, the Book Plaza. Happy Mother's Day. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Mob rule will never work in this country. Too many people are opposed to it. And, I agree with Tony. I'm not going to be packing a pistol or a rifle with me everywhere I go. But if I do have any bullets, they're going to be Muslim loads. I'm not going to send these guys to heaven like they did in Texas by not shooting them with a Muslim load.
Well, there again, though, Jerry, let's be really careful, and I expect my listeners to be very careful on the verbiage that we use until we find out all the facts and we don't just go off of certain special reports. If these two guys were Muslims, which we think they are, and they were possibly connected to ISIS, we have a major problem, Jerry, because of our open borders, our very porous borders, right here, our international airports, without really checking anything. I am very worried as to the status of our safety right now because of absolutely nobody finding out who all the bad guys are.
Well, and I'm very upset about the fact that we've known that these guys are coming across the border for years, and our representatives have not done a thing to stop it.
No, they haven't. They haven't. I don't care if it's Idaho's representatives or senators or if it's California, Oregon's, Tallahassee, Florida. I don't care. They have not done the job. They just absolutely deserve to be verbally whipped because of what they have not done. They've given lip service and they haven't done a thing.
And another thing I'm not going to do, Zeb, is let political correctness run my life.
We can't.
It will never happen.
We can't do it.
I'll probably be the most political, incorrect person that ever lived, because I think all it is a way of subterfusing our government and our rights and our freedom.
I can't agree with you more. I think you're spot on. I will never be politically correct. I will not change the verbiage. I think that thugs are absolutely nothing more than raging criminals. That was proven in Baltimore. And for some black leader of the blacks in Baltimore to say, well, when you call them thugs, you're actually calling them the N-word, so we're demanding that word be stopped. Well, I'll tell you what, you can demand till heck freezes over. I'm not going to change my verbiage.
And, you know, a point on that thug thing, a lot of them thugs are white guys. They ain't all black.
That's exactly right. I said earlier, black, brown, yellow, white, it doesn't make any difference. Jerry, God bless you. Got to run. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Have a wonderful day, and may the Lord bless.
Thank you, Jerry. It's time for the weather real quick, brought to you by Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox Home Comfort Systems. Whether it's a gas furnace, air conditioner, or a heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. Absolutely. Call Ramsey's today at 678-0459 and learn how you can save money with Ramsey and Lennox. Here now, Michael Rogers weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers from Sub at the Ranch. Set for a brand spanking new week of you, me, and weather. Nice day today to start off the week. High 81. That's pretty warm. 81 for the high winds are not going to be a problem. Tonight you get a slight chance of showers, and that's going to continue for tonight, tomorrow, tapering off tomorrow night. Daytime high for tomorrow will be 73. That's because you got a frontal system passing through. In fact, your temperatures will get cooler as you work your way toward the later portions of the week because you got sun, cloud, and rain in the forecast. You got a system coming through, so once the cold front gets on the other side of you, those daytime highs that were in the 80s for today and the 70s for tomorrow are going to drop down to the low 60s starting on Wednesday and continuing all the way until Friday. Enjoy the day, enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you very much, Michael. And again, brought to you this hour by Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox Home Comfort Systems. Find out more, 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, saving you money, warm winters, and cool summers. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
Like you say, it's getting to be a mess, and Martin Luther King had turned over in his grave. He'd see what come out of what he was going on.
I agree with you.
In the world.
I totally agree with you. Al, after this weekend, and I took notes on everything that's going on in Baltimore and across this country, and with these idiotic actors that don't know Khmer from Sikkim unless a director tells them, speaking out and inciting more violence and hatred against our police force. Al, I'm telling you that what I said a little earlier, I'm going to stand behind. Mark my words, all of a sudden there's going to be a vast shortage of police officers. Why should they put their lives on the line for these idiots?
Well, they shouldn't, but they'll keep trying. But what I got upset yesterday about, and I hate to bring it up, but we was trained to protect the United States of America. We had SAC and TAC commands that if somebody come across our doggone airspaces, we went up and put them back across it. There have been 10 incidents right now of Russia coming across Alaska's airspace, and we haven't sent one damn airplane up there to stop it.
Well, it hasn't just
keeps going on in the United States.
It hasn't just been up there. It's happened on both our east and our west borders also. And I don't know what in the world all of a sudden has taken place where everybody is sneering, laughing, and giggling at our rules of engagement because they know under this president nothing's going to happen. But we have lost the John Wayne attitude in this country that we used to have, where if you step on our toe, we're going to probably break your ankle.
I know, it's getting ridiculous because, I mean, You stand 73 hours out on a flight line, ready to go, and you put your plane in the air in less than 5 minutes. And then you come down to this crap going on now.
Yeah.
Zeb, we have no security anymore. Not a bit.
You know, and when you say that, people need to stop and think, honestly, think about their own personal security, think about the security here in this country, think about our military overseas with the security, and your words are ringing true with me, because I'll guarantee you right now, like I said earlier this morning, we're standing on the precipice of falling into the abyss because nobody seems to care about America anymore.
I know, and if you do protect yourself, then you get arrested by some jackass that don't know Adam Moss Fox over there in that Baltimore area. That is the stupidest bunch of people I've ever seen.
Well, I have to agree with you. You can't argue with me on these subjects this morning because I'm on your side. Thanks, Al. God bless.
Have a good one.
Thank you. The mayor of Baltimore. This woman, I know, I received some calls. Oh, you're just anti-feminist. You're against a woman being mayor or governor. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Don't be so absolutely ridiculously stupid by saying something like that to me. This mayor is not qualified. Stephanie Rawlings Blake is not qualified to be a mayor. She's not qualified to be a dog catcher. She has shot her mouth off, caused a lot of problems, and quite frankly, she is the racist. And calling the teenagers that were involved in the rock and bottle throwing as misguided youth? What? And saying to people, well, we need to let them have a space to destroy. This woman is not competent. There. And should be replaced. Absolutely should be replaced. Oh, excuse me. I'm really... And then, I got one more point I want to make with you folks. Black leaders in Baltimore and the mayor are calling for more money. More money. More spending of our money in the inner city. They say that it will provide more jobs, more opportunity. Wait a minute. You burned your city. You burned your community. You run the businesses out of Dodge City and you expect us to give you more money? Are you crazy? Stand by, caller. Don't forget Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Headed up by Nick Greenwell and the staff. Absolutely the best with all the sports medicine exercises, all the exercises, all the comprehensive services, everything. Great big hydrotherapy pool to help you get back to feeling and being you. They are very good. From ages 6 months to 96, I'll tell you what, they can help everybody. At Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. The number to call, make an appointment, 678-1191. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. How's your blood pressure today?
Doug, that's irrelevant. What can I do for you?
Definition of a thug. They need to look it up in the Webster dictionary. There's no N-word in there. There's no black word.
That's right.
Race word, period, in there.
That's right.
Yep.
And Doug, to be coerced and to be mentally led by some of these people into thinking that the word thug is a bad word and it infringes on the N-word. These people are nincompoops, and I am going to use it all the more for these raging criminals that have burned, looted, and destroyed. They are thugs.
Exactly. If you're going to have a protest, where does it say that you have to burn buildings and steal to make the protest effective?
Let me ask you a question, Doug. You're a sharp guy. You've called in many, many times. Why would any business, I don't care if it's a pharmacy, I don't care if it's a fast food, I don't care if it's a Subway, a McDonald's, a Wendy's, I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's a hardware store. Why would anybody in their right mind want to say, oh, gee, we got to spend $250,000 and put a business in that area for more jobs and more opportunity when these ninnies are going out and burning and destroying?
Exactly. There's no way I'd build a business somewhere where I'd have to bar the windows, just make it where it's bulletproof, fireproof, and everything to have a business in a certain area.
I will say this, and I know this is harsh, but I want to get your opinion, then I got to do a commercial. I think that the police and the National Guard should have been called out immediately. And there should have been, like they did in the past with looters and burners, a shoot-to-kill order, and it should have been adhered to.
Well, if I had a business there, I'll guarantee you anybody come through one of the windows would be going back out. But he'd be going back out laying on his back.
Looters and burners are nothing more than anarchists that want to destroy our society, our cities, our civilization, and I have no time for them.
I don't either. And one thing I seen over the weekend, there was a statement made that if you were caught rioting or looting, you should lose all of your federal benefits if you're receiving welfare or food stamps or anything.
Well, and then for these so-called leaders in the community with the mayor, Stephanie Rawlings Blake, and all these others saying, oh, we need more money. Oh, we need more opportunity. You burned your opportunity, baby.
That's a fact. They've had the money, they've had the opportunity for 40 years to prove what the Democrats can do.
Doug, appreciate you, man. Thanks. I got to get a commercial in, my friend. Thank you so much.
The uninformed voter needs to get informed.
I agree. I agree.
Need to get off the dole, off the paycheck.
Amen. Amen.
All right.
Thank you. Are you ready for summer travel? Well, I'll tell you what, you better enjoy this summer's travel. You should enjoy this summer's travel. You deserve to go and enjoy summer's travel. At your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, they ask that question if you're ready for summer travel. If you bring in the coupons and everything, they've got a free pre-trip safety check. They check all the tires, the tire pressure, the front end alignment. I mean, there's all kinds of things on this free pre-trip safety check. You better believe it. And you know what? They've got the greatest in tires for you to drive safely on to see Aunt Martha and Uncle Fred down there in Fort Collins, Colorado, or wherever you're going. And the best tire value promise in the industry, along with the best brake value promise. I mean, it's all there. It's all there at all 7 of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. They really care. As a matter of fact, I get off this program, I'm headed right there after the show. Yeah. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. Yes, sir, the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Going to take a little break, and we'll be back in 6 minutes. Don't go away. Zeb at the Ranch. Welcome back. Hour number 2, Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell, and our thanks to our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and some of our great advertisers like Valley White Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Everything, and I mean everything for the farm, the home, and the ranch at Valley White, and our dear friends at Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Yes, they are always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, 734-6969. Locally owned and operated, and they really have customer service for you. Call and get on the route service and get rid of your garbage every week. Absolutely the best. They've got all the dumpsters in various sizes, and for all the spring and summer events coming up, they've got all the porta potties. Yep. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Number to call, 734-6969. By the way, too, I want to say thank you very much to all of our advertisers and sponsors on this program. They've ridden the horse with us for a long time on this show, and we appreciate it, including Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number to call, 436-5636. Joel Heward is the manager, and it's a family place that serves you. That's right. Flexible hours. They're there when you need them, and they give you the family attention. They'll travel to the rural towns and churches to help you make arrangements when there's the passing of a loved one. Always upholding the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Please get a hold of them today. 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary in Rupert, serving you. Real quick, before we get our guest on the program, also, I want to remind you every day when we start our program, we start things off with the weather, and it's brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley for all your carpet and flooring and kitchen construction, home decor items. Yep, whatever you need to make your house a home, Cheney Flooring and Home Design. I want to go to the phone lines right now, and I'm very, very honored to have this gentleman back on our program. I can't wait to hear his comments this morning. Good morning to Dr. Gerard Lamero. How are you, sir?
I am doing great, and I'm glad to be back with you. I was looking forward to talking to you again as soon as I heard you invited me.
Let me tell you something. Do you mind if I call you Gerard, or would you prefer Dr. Lamero? You tell me.
You could call me anything you like, but don't call me a socialist.
That'll never happen. But I just want to brag a little bit before we get started on your books. If your books are anything as qualified and competent as you are on the radio, I have got to get them. Now, I know that you had a book called America's Economic War, and then also you have a new book called Renewing America and Its Heritage of Freedom. Tell us real quick where those books can be obtained.
Well, they can be obtained almost anywhere, but most people seem to buy the books from Amazon, and on Amazon they're in a print edition and also in a Kindle edition. So you can get it print or electronic depending on your preference. And by the way, the book on freedom I think is one of the best books ever written on freedom and has a lot of new material that just isn't anywhere else.
Well, Dr. Lamero, I absolutely, I really respect your thoughts and everything, and I wanted to talk to you this morning about this situation in Baltimore. Now, I said earlier when I got on the air this morning that situation in Baltimore is going to possibly be the tinder keg, the powder keg that's going to blow up across this country and possibly create and cause a vast shortage of police officers, because why should they put their lives on the line to suffer and be shot and be ridiculed? And we're on the verge of a national federalized police force, all because of what's just recently occurring. Would you agree or disagree with me on that?
Oh, we agree on virtually everything that I know of, Zeb. And I think that we've got real problems because progressive socialists, they call themselves progressive for short, these people don't care about our Constitution. They ignore it whenever it's convenient. They overlook the rule of law. They look at people of their own persuasion and allow them to break the law sometimes. They do things like turn the IRS on the Tea Party and on conservatives because they don't like them as much as they like progressive policies. And you've got this problem in Baltimore where the mayor tells the police to stand down and let buildings burn up, let cars burn up, let people get hit with rocks. You can't let people riot. You know, even if there was an abuse of a prisoner, and I hope there wasn't, but that's up to the courts to decide if something was done wrong. Even if you have a gripe with society, you don't burn down the town. That's absurd.
Well, Dr. Lamero, the idiocy of this situation, and then black leadership is calling for more spending in the inner city. They're calling for more money, for more jobs, and more opportunity. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out that if they're going to burn, loot, and pillage their community, who in their right mind would want to put money in there to try to enhance business situations?
You're 100% right. You know, the city of Baltimore worked hard. to get the CVS pharmacy into that neighborhood. They worked hard. And do you know that that CVS store was the only place in that neighborhood you could get a prescription filled if you needed a medication? And here, that neighborhood burns its one pharmacy down. How foolish can you be? And what are the stores going to want to build there? That's just ridiculous. You've got to follow the rule of law.
Dr. Lamero, I'd like you to comment a little bit about something I heard starting Friday afternoon, and it went through the weekend and was picked up by some of the more conservative commentators on the news. But now some black leaders are coming out and saying that by using the thug word, we are also trying to intimidate blacks because they think that's part of the N-word. Thug and the other word are together in their evaluation of who they are. What are your thoughts about our loss of free speech, our loss of calling these people what they are? They are thugs and they are criminals.
People who disobey the law, who burn down buildings, who attack the police officers, they're criminals. I think thug is a synonym of criminals in the English dictionary, English language dictionary. I think the progressives have just gone overboard and are just over the top. I want to give you, though, in this sad situation of Baltimore, I want to give you a positive note for your listeners today. I want to tell you something that I recognize and I think is going to happen. And that is, there was a conservative election landslide in 2010, and the results were we captured the House of Representatives. In 2014, there was a conservative election landslide, and we captured the Senate. And I think next year, if we run a tough conservative for president, we will have the third conservative election landslide, and we will elect a conservative president. We'll have the House, the Senate, and the White House, and then this country is finally going to get back on track and get rid of these folks in office who are progressive socialists who live in a fantasy land, and this system of government, socialism, just doesn't work, and we should get that by now, shouldn't we?
You know, Dr. Lamero, I agree with you in every point that you said. However, I've got to throw this at you to be fair. I am not seeing any courage on behalf of the senators and the congressmen that were elected. I'm not seeing them stand up. I'm not seeing them stick their chin out and go after Obama and his policies. I'm not seeing them speak out against what's happening. Do they have the courage to put this country back on track?
I think some of the leaders in the House and Senate might not, because they traditionally have been in the role of second-tier leaders, meaning that they're not on the top really leading the charge. But I see people who are running for president now who do have the courage of a Ronald Reagan. I see people like Senator Ted Cruz, who stands up for what he believes in. He doesn't, he shows no nonsense. I see strong people like Scott Walker, who have fought the Democrats, have fought the progressives, and have won, and had a fight in battle for that governorship 3 times in Wisconsin and won 3 times. So I see a lot of good people. I see Carly Fiorina taking strong conservative stands and calling Hillary to task for some of her actions. So I see some tough leaders, and I think one of them is going to be nominated, and I think American people are fed up with this ridiculous progressive nonsense about freedom of speech. You're not supposed to offend anybody, and you're supposed to, coddle criminals, and you're supposed to allow people to burn down cities because that gets the frustration out of their lives. You know what the frustration is caused by? The progressive policies. The socialist policies don't work. Baltimore has been run by progressives for 40 years, and you know what you've got? High unemployment, high crime, failing schools, and if you had enough time today on your show, I'd give you a whole lot of statistics has showed that they have failed miserably to run the city of Baltimore.
One other issue that I was very impressed with the article that you had written on April 27th regarding top news and presidential election, and I've got to have you comment on the gay and lesbian movement in this country demanding, and your words were demanding acceptance of their lifestyle. And I'll tell you right up front, Dr. Lamero, I can't as a Christian, I never will, and I will absolutely fight that progressive movement. Can we defeat them?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The point here is that people who love freedom, people who love Christianity, have to stand up for their beliefs.
Right.
They cannot be run over with tire tracks with progressives that want to take over the world. They want to inculcate everyone with their atheistic secular religion, because it is a religion. It's anti-Christian. It's anti-Western heritage and Western civilization. The answer is we have to stand up. And when they try to cut off our free speech, we have to say, there's a First Amendment in the United States, and we're following it. And if you don't agree, we'll take you to court. We've got to fight for our rights, and we've got to elect good people. You know, there were millions of Americans who stayed home in 2012 that were conservative and could have voted for Mitt Romney, and we'd have a different president. And there are a lot of people who have sat home, they're busy doing their jobs, they take care of their kids, they pay their taxes. They don't want to bother with government, they just want government to get out of their back. But guess what? They've got to get going. They've got to take a stand, or else the small minority of leftists, radicalists, and people with all these strange philosophies that want to run our country. We can't let them do it. We have to get active. Everybody's got to do their job and do their duty and get out and vote for the right people.
What does it say about government and leadership in the United States of America when you see a mayor of Baltimore come out and say that they're going to give space to those that want to destroy, and the teenagers that were throwing rocks and bottles, they're nothing more than misguided youth. And then the next day on the news, you see Al Sharpton going arm in arm with the mayor of Baltimore, and Al has an open-door policy with the President of the United States. What does this say about our current state of affairs here in this country?
It says that progressives are running the cities. They're running a lot of different places. I think we have a progressive socialist president. And I think, unfortunately, they've talked their way into their jobs, and a lot of good, conservative, freedom-loving Americans have sat home in elections, and they can't do that anymore. They've got to get out and vote once a year, use their brains, and pick the right person who believes in the Constitution, who believes in the rule of law, who believes in freedom. Those are the kind of people we traditionally elected. That's why we became the greatest nation in the history of the world, the most generous, the most good, the most productive, the most creative. And right now we've got a bunch of progressive socialists who want to go and follow, some of the socialist countries in the world. And guess what? They're all failures. There's no nation as great as America. When America had its complete freedom, we're losing our freedom. And we've got to go out there and win elections. And by the way, the book you mentioned at the beginning of the show, Renewing America's Heritage of Freedom, it has a vision, a strategy, and a plan for every American so that every American can take part in restoring this great nation that we were born into. And I hope for no other reason than to help the nation, people will read that book.
Absolutely.
Buy a copy, share it with your friends, and start taking action. Don't let these progressive socialists take over our country.
You were very emphatic in talking about the value of our Constitution and the rule of law. And little by little, our Constitution is being diminished. It's being used as a doormat. It's being said that, it's outdated. It's over 250 years old. We need to update things. What are your thoughts about our Constitution and the rule of law in this country?
It's the basis for a great nation. The Constitution has one purpose. It is to protect every American's freedom and liberty. And that's freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom for economic activity, to start a new business. Even if you fall on your face and you go out of business, I think J.C. Penney, who started that great chain of stores, went bankrupt with his first business. But he came back and started J.C. Penney. And there's so many great stories. But the basis of our success is freedom. The Constitution protects our freedom. And you know what? Freedom never goes out of style. For people who say the Constitution is outdated, that means they don't believe in freedom, because freedom does not get outdated. Is there a day that you wake up that you don't want to be free? Any listener out there, is there a day you wake up and say, oh, I want the government to take over my life, I don't want any freedom? Well, of course not. The Constitution is the basis of our freedom. It's the guarantee of our freedom. And the rule of law is what's needed so that people don't trample on your rights. I mean, you can't have somebody walk in with a gun and say, give me all your money. You got to put that kind of person in jail.
Dr. Lamero, let me ask you one final thought. The education system in this country has helped aid and abet the idea that a welfare state is the best way to be. How do we change the gimme state that we have right now in this country into people getting out, utilizing the talents that God gave them, and being productive members of our society instead of standing on the street corner with a tin cup expecting government to do everything for them?
We've got to educate people. And of course, when a lot of professors teach socialism, they teach it to teachers who then teach it in K through 12. That's most unfortunate. We have to get on the school boards. We have to get to be trustees on the colleges. And we have to change the educational system to show the difference between socialism and freedom. And we have to show that people are healthier, less suicide. Psychologically, people are healthier when they work and they build something and they do something and they earn a living. They have self-respect and self-esteem. Living under government welfare state is just devastating. Look at all the suicides in socialist countries. Look at all the alcoholism, because people have nothing they can do. They can't be free in themselves. We have to educate people that socialism is a failure. The more socialism you have, the worse it gets. The worst case in the world now is North Korea, where everybody's starving to death. That's socialism.
Absolutely.
Awful.
Absolutely.
And we have freedom, and when we are our freest, we are our best. We're losing our freedom, and we have to restore it before it's too late. And I don't think it's too late. We've had 2 election landslides. We got the House, we got the Senate, and next year, I think conservatives are going to win in the White House.
Well, I certainly hope you're right, and I absolutely thank you for taking the time to come on the program. Dr. Gerard Lamero and his book, Renewing America and Its Heritage of Freedom. God bless you, sir, and please come back in the future. I'd love to have you back.
God bless you, Zeb. You're a great radio show host, and I'd love to be back to talk to you again.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you. Gentleman that I just absolutely enjoy having on my show, Dr. Gerard Lamero, and I've got to get that book. I urge you to get that book, Renewing America and Its Heritage of Freedom. Thank you very much. Oh my, we've got to pay some bills, and right now we better tell you about Mother's Day that's coming up before too long on May 10th, and the Goodie Shop at 133 West Main in Burley has special little goodie baskets for Mom. You can build your own or select one that's already done, and they've got the special little Mother's Day mugs too that are all filled with candy kisses and brownie treats and everything. I'll tell you what, this is quite a business, and I suggest you give them a call. Tell them what you want for Mom. The Goodie Shop, 133 West Main in Burley, 647-0106. Oh, and speaking of Mother's Day, maybe Mom wants a whole bunch of things done outside. Well, then the place to go and help Mom out with her wishes is K&R Rental. 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn. It's springtime, and maybe they've got certain things that you need to get done around the property, the flower beds and everything. everything else? Well, K&R Rental has all the tools you need to get your property in shape for summer with the best service, prices, and quality parts to get your job done. All you have to do is give them a call, 678-3122. That number again, 678-3122. They're open Monday through Saturday, 7 to 6. K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn, and they wish you and your mom a very happy Mother's Day. Haybarn. Attaboy, Zeb. Calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, I think after I listened to a gentleman like Dr. Gerard Lamero on the program, you have to think of the Bible verse out of 2 Thessalonians chapter 3, verse 10. And in the Bible it says, even while we were with you, we gave you this command. Those unwilling to work will not get to eat. We need to restore a work ethic and a value ethic in this country again before it's absolutely too late. And we are on the verge. Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 west of Burley, with Tim Vaughn and the rest of the crew right next to Dot Foods. Don't forget that number I've given to you probably 1,000 times, 431-7314, for estimates on what you need built for you on your property. Streamline Precision is a family of companies providing construction, excavation, and fabrication services. And as I've been telling you, they're putting up a lot of on-the-farm grain bin storage, and the different buildings. They're building, as a matter of fact, the new Funk Dairy straight south of me right here in Murtaugh. I'll tell you what, they are good. And you give them a call, 431-7314. 431-7314. And by the way, too, they've got the great big heavy equipment to handle your dirt hauling needs with the big side dump trucks. And if you need to move your big farm rigs from field A to field B, they got all the big rigs to transport your equipment. All you have to do is call 431-7314. Streamline Precision, the professionals working for you. Oh, my goodness, busy day. Oh, by the way, too, I've got to get this on the air. Coming up this next weekend on Friday and Saturday, the National Pioneer Hall of Fame presents Pioneer Farm Days, and it's going to be Friday, May 8th and Saturday, May 9th, this coming weekend from 10 till 4 each day at 950 East in Declo. Don't miss this. Free to the public, fun for the whole family. Pioneer Farm Days, and it's going to be just chock full of a lot of fun for you and your family, sponsored by the National Pioneer Hall of Fame. Well, we have just a minute. I want to also remind you about our friends at Let's Ride. Oh, my goodness sakes. Don't forget Let's Ride for all your ATVs, all your dirt bikes, and all your accessories. You know what? And if you do have ATVs already and you haven't had them serviced, you better get them ready for all the roaming the hills this summer. That's right, they got a great service department. And like I said, they've got a great accessory department. They can help you, and they will. This is where the fun is sold. Let's Ride. Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. You stop over and see them today. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 4. Don't forget, Let's Ride, where the fun is sold. While you're on Highway 24, I want to remind you, too, about our friends over at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, and they simply are the best. Highway 24 in Rupert, life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, locally owned by Dean Cameron and Todd Siemens. They are really devoted to serving others and make sure you're protected. Please give them a call today. Make an appointment, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Let's go to the phone lines right now, and a gentleman with us and waiting for us this morning has been on our program numerous times in the past, attorney with the Alliance Defending Freedom, Casey Maddox. Casey, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. I'm doing quite well.
Well, it's good to have you back on the program this morning, and I understand we're going to be talking about an anti-religious freedom law. I'll let you kind of bring us up to speed as to what this is.
Sure. Well, what's happened is that in the nation's capital, in Washington, D.C., there is a now long-running effort to try to force pro-life organizations in Washington, D.C., including my own Alliance Defending Freedom, to compromise their pro-life views. And it's a direct assault on those organizations. It would require them to not only hire people who reject our pro-life views, but even potentially to have to pay for elective abortions as part of our insurance plans. And this is a bill that's been passed by the District Council, and that Congress now has an opportunity to stop. The House has voted to veto this bill, House of Representatives, and the Senate will be taking it up today.
Now, just a minute. I am totally shocked at this. I have read a little bit. I'm not entirely naive about this, but basically you just said something that really triggered my interest, that would force you, the Alliance Defending Freedom, to hire people of opposing viewpoints. That would cause chaos and anarchy within what you're trying to do.
Well, and I should say, it would try to. It would not succeed because we're not going to cave to this. But basically what they're attempting to do is the District Council has decided to pass this bill at the behest of the abortion lobby in Washington, D.C., that would prohibit discrimination against a person because of a reproductive health decision that they made.
Oh, my.
And when you get into the weeds of the bill, it becomes quite clear what the purpose here is. The purpose is to force pro-life organizations in Washington, D.C., of which there are many. March for Life, AUL, a lot of these organizations have homes here in Washington, D.C., and it would prohibit them from asking people during the employment process about whether or not they've had abortions, whether or not they favor abortions. It's quite a far-reaching bill, and ultimately even prohibits discrimination in the terms and conditions of employment, which means you couldn't exclude any access to any reproductive health decision that someone would make, including an elective abortion, in your insurance plans.
You know, the anarchy, for lack of a better word, that this would cause, and basically it's just an infringement on Christians and the right to believe in their Christian faith, is it not?
It absolutely is. The entire purpose of this bill, it's not attempting to address any real problem. In 10 months, the other side has never been able to identify a single instance of a for-profit employer, for example, in Washington, D.C., letting someone go because of an abortion or any other reproductive health decision. All of the testimony when they were considering this bill was about how evil and wrong it was for the Archdiocese of Washington, D.C. to not provide contraceptive coverage to its employees. That's what the focus was. Mm-hmm. And it's perfectly clear. What they want to do is to launch a cultural war in Washington, D.C. to try to drive the pro-life organizations out of Washington, D.C. We're not going anywhere.
You know, I just finished on the last interview with Dr. Gerard Lamero, and basically we were talking about some of the same things that we're talking about here. But you know, Casey, I got to admit, I'm just getting frustrated. This United States of America, our Constitution, our value system, our morals, and our basic Christian beliefs are going right down in the gutter by the progressives, and it just seems like it's a never-ending battle every day.
You know, I think that's certainly the case. We're always going to have to be vigilant in defense of liberty. The other side is never going to stop. I mean, you just turn through the headlines every day, and it becomes perfectly clear that those of us who respect religious freedom, respect the sanctity of life, respect marriage and the family, we're never going to wake up with nothing to do. We're going to have to fight in this culture and defend those things on a daily basis.
One of the comments that was made on the sheet, the information sheet that I had, was that the progressives would be able to infringe on the ability of private schools to operate according to their religious beliefs. Highlight that a little bit, would you please, Casey?
Sure. There's a companion bill. I mean, first of all, it would affect religious schools with respect to their pro-life views, but there's also a companion bill here that takes away an exemption for religious schools from the sexual orientation non-discrimination provision. And what that essentially means is that if you are a Catholic school, for example, in Washington, D.C., that under this new law, you could be forced to recognize a gay lesbian student group, for example, to allow for things like a sex week that would be going on your campus. You could be required by the district to allow those sorts of things to happen in violation of your faith. It's just an outright assault on people of faith in Washington, D.C., and I think the goal from the other side is that if they can demonstrate that they can force religious liberty to kowtow to these sorts of interests in Washington, D.C., then they can take it elsewhere.
Casey, where's the backbone? Where's the bravery? Where's the, for lack of other terminology, the John Wayne attitude that we used to have? 20, 30 years ago, this would have been laughed right out of the proverbial Dodge City. People wouldn't put up with this. What happened to us as a society that we're allowing this filth and this sleaze to take over?
There is sort of a slide here in respect for religious liberty, respect for freedom. One positive shining moment that I'll give your listeners out of this is that the House of Representatives on Friday voted to veto this bill. Or actually, I believe it was late Thursday night, voted to veto this bill. So it went to the Senate from there. There's a limited period of time they can act, and it doesn't appear that we're going to be able to get this veto through the Senate in enough time. And the president has promised to veto any attempt here to protect religious employers in the nation's capital, which is very disappointing. But it is at least encouraging that the U.S. House of Representatives acted on this, took this very seriously, and saw this as the threat it is. And hopefully, as we move forward, more Americans will become aware. I think that's the biggest problem, awareness. People who listen to your show, Zeb, are well aware of the threats that we're facing, but I think the reality is people are entertained, and they don't pay attention to the threats that are facing us.
Casey, I've always respected you on this program. You do a wonderful job, but I look at the senators and the congressmen, but I go right to the Oval Office, and I look at Obama, and I remember some of his campaign promises back in 2007 leading up to 2008. This man lied to us. This man lied to us. This man is not the moral fiber and family fiber that we thought, and for him to sit there in the Oval Office and look at the anarchy that this is causing to the moral fabric of America, it's disgusting and despicable. That's my words, not yours, but I would like you to comment on it.
Well, this is just a needless cultural war. There are big issues to be dealt with in Washington, D.C., and the last thing you need is to try to rip organizations and people apart who are trying to make a difference in the nation's capital. And this goes from March for Life and AUL and ADF, but it also includes the religious schools in Washington, D.C., who, it's no secret that public education is hurting in Washington, D.C. Well, you have schools here who are trying to make a difference. And this is an outright assault on them. It's disappointing, and you would hope that even if they didn't agree, that they would at least have some respect for basic First Amendment rights and say, look, let's not attack people just because they disagree with us. But unfortunately, that's where we are right now.
Yeah, and Casey, here, the other thing is, simply put, the progressive movement in this country, they want us all to fit back into their mold, into their square pegs and their round circles, etc. And there is no value anymore. The culture wars basically are to go to their culture, or else you're going to be condemned. I'm not going to change. You're not going to change. So what happens in America?
There is a real resistance to basic freedom of speech on the left these days. The left used to at least feign interest in really respecting freedom of speech, and what we're seeing, I think, in the last decade or so, is that has changed. And the left is more interested now in control and in silencing speech that disagrees with its views. And certainly with respect to religious exercise, it used to be that the left at least had some support for free exercise of religion, and now they're calling it freedom to worship rather than free exercise of religion. And particularly where it interferes with any sort of sex or abortion issues, then the left is suddenly uninterested in religious liberty, and that's a change in the last decade or so.
What would you tell my audience this morning that they absolutely have to start doing? What do they need to do to help support America and the morality and the values that it used to have? What do they need to do?
You know, I think one thing that you can do is to talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends who are unaware about this change, that this change in how, who still see the groups like the ACLU as interested in freedom, and talk to them about how, look, that's a picture from years ago that's no longer true, and here's an example of how. You can go on our website at alliancedefendingfreedom.org, and you can find out more information about this issue in Washington, D.C., and other issues we're fighting around the country. And you can point out to them that, look, your old views about how the left liberals were supposedly interested in liberal values has changed. They're interested in control now, and I think it's something that people need to hear.
Casey, is there a direct bill number or something that you can give us so that people can call their congressmen and the senators and refer directly to a bill number and say, hey, we've got to stop this garbage? What would you suggest?
Sure, it's House Joint Resolution 43, and if they call their members of Congress, particularly their senators, since it's now over on the Senate side. But, you know, the other thing is that members of Congress also need to hear from people when they've done the right thing.
Yeah.
And so find out if your House member has already voted on this and they've done the right thing. They, like everyone else, need pats on the back sometimes when they do the right thing. So you can look at that as well.
And you do too. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that we should be on our knees thanking God for organizations like yours, and for attorneys like yourself, the Alliance Defending Freedom, because, man, every week I just get a little bit distraught thinking about the sleaze that's going on in this United States of America, but yet it also is very comforting to know that you're fighting it. Casey Maddox, thank you so much for being on the program. Any final thoughts?
No, thank you very much, Zeb. We greatly appreciate you and everything that you do.
Casey Maddox, Alliance Defending Freedom. God bless, Casey. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wow. I tell you something, folks. There's a never-ending battle. A never-ending battle for the sleaze, the filth that's going on in our society, permeated by the progressive movement. And I, for one, on this program, I will turn the switch off permanently rather than change to their demands. Not going to happen on this program, I guarantee you that. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Mad River Laser is going to bring us the weather right now. And I got to tell you that Nicole she never has a wasted moment. I mean, she's always thinking about great ideas. Well, she's got another great idea for Mother's Day. Wooden spoons for Mother's Day that are just $5. And they're really, really nice. They got cute little sayings on them, and then scripted with the name of the family. Your caller, I'll be there in just a minute. Don't go away. This is really great. And Mad River Laser at 502 East Street in Rupert, absolutely the best. Nicole and Alex Pratt, they can handle all your business promotional items, and I love this wooden spoon idea for moms on Mother's Day. Check it out. Call her 436-2293 or stop in at 502 East Street in Rupert. Here quickly is Michael Rogers weather. Caller, I'll be right with you.
Michael Rogers from the ranch. Stuff for a brand spanking new week of you, me, and weather. Nice day today to start off the week. High 81. That's pretty warm. 81 for the high winds are not going to be a problem. Tonight you get a slight chance of showers, and that's going to continue for tonight, tomorrow, tapering off tomorrow night. Daytime high for tomorrow will be 73 because you get a frontal system passing through. In fact, your temperatures will get cooler as you work your way toward the later portions of the week because you got sun, cloud, and rain in the forecast. You got a system coming through, so once the cold front gets on the other side of you, those daytime highs that were in the 80s for today and the 70s for tomorrow are going to drop down to the low 60s starting on Wednesday and continuing all the way until Friday. Enjoy the day, enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Brought to you this hour by Mad River Laser. Wonderful people at 502 East Street in Rupert, and they wish you and yours a happy Mother's Day. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, Zeb. You know,
when our children feel that there's a sense of hopelessness, whether or not it's some environmentalist saying that the world's going to wither and die for whatever the reason, or even if it's going back, and as much as I love him, it just always seems like, he talks about how we're going to crash and inevitably, and maybe he's right, but maybe his timeline is wrong. But you see, we've got to give our children and even us a sense of hope, and hope gives us enthusiasm, and we can find the energy to fight the battle, and all the good things that are going on in this country is important for us to know and to share with our children, because when they do have a sense of hopelessness, it just, they say, well, what about what we want? What about our American dream?
Yeah. You know, Randy, I really thought a lot about this weekend and went to church yesterday and prayed about it. There's a battle going on in this country that a lot of people are naive, or else they try to sweep it under the rug and they don't want to acknowledge it. But there is a battle going on in this country right now, thanks to the progressive movement that has infiltrated the Oval Office and also all of politics and leadership, and it's leading us down a path of complete destruction and devaluation. And if we don't stand up and fight back, and I mean the word fight might really mean fight, it's going to be too late, and this country and your children and our grandchildren are lost forever.
Well, that's the thing, and if you've noticed, there's been a rash of, well, there's been too many, not a rash, but of young people who have taken their lives in this valley.
Yeah.
And it's an unbelievable tragedy, and nobody could ever know what was going on in the mind of this child. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to contribute it to the end of the world by an environmentalist or a financial crash or whatever, but you see, they need to know how important they are and how important the future of this country is, and that we, as patriots, can beat back these sorry anarchists that want to take us someplace where nobody in this country wants to go. Even if they got everything they wanted, they would not like it. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, Randy, your point is well taken. I don't care if it's about energy. I don't care if it's about food. I don't care if it's about politics. I don't care if it's about what's going on with the blacks in Baltimore and the black mayor. We are looking at a progressive movement to where they want to stir up strife. They want to stir up more welfare programs. They want a gimme society. They don't want people to be responsible for their actions. They don't want people to be responsible for earning their own way and paying for their own way through life. They want a government-subsidized life, and I'm not going to adhere to that. I'm going to fight this government. I'm going to damn this government and anybody else with a progressive movement.
Well, this is the thing. I have 11 children, 13 grandchildren, and none of my children, not one of them, are on welfare. And I have a couple daughters that are divorced, and it's unfortunate, but they're fighting and going to school and working and taking care of their lives, and they don't go down and get welfare. Yep. You see, we can, together we can fix it, but when we just hook up to the welfare, then we become weak, and we're reconciling our freedoms for safety or security.
I'm going to be very blunt here. We haven't got leadership that should and could be respected. We haven't got people. Look at Al Sharpton. I mean, my goodness sakes. How can anybody give this man any credence for his ability and or his education and or his abilities when he's nothing more than a tax cheat and a tax fraud, a liar, and quite frankly, very illegal in all of his business dealings? How can you respect somebody like that has an open door policy to go see the President of the United States and be arm in arm with him on all these policies? I've lost my respect for Obama, never really had any. I've lost my respect for our legislators because they don't have the backbone of an amoebic cell.
Well, Al Sharpton epitomizes the left. They are lazy when it comes right down to it. They are immoral, and they couldn't care less about the country. And they will see its destruction in pursuit of their selfishness.
I agree. Randy, always good to hear from you. Thank you. Thank you. You know, I know I sound a little bit down this morning on certain subjects, but you know, how can you not be? How can you not be? A 25-year-old police officer is laying in the hospital in New York, shot in the face by a black thug. A guy that had a rap sheet, like I said earlier this morning, as long as your arm. Where's the outrage? Where's even the sympathy for this policeman? Oh, but the terrors and the horrors that happen in Baltimore, with the Baltimore mayor not calling the teenagers thugs and punks that they were, but calling them misguided youth. And then calling the terrorists that were running the city and burning the city and looting the city, oh, well, we have to give them a place and a space so they can destroy. And we're supposed to watch our words and not call them thugs? We're supposed to give more of our tax dollars to create more jobs and more opportunity in the inner city. Are you kidding me? All they'll do is burn and destroy it. Pull yourselves up by your own doggone bootstraps. Have some personal responsibility, and oh gee, maybe your life will change for the better. I am absolutely sick of what's going on in this country. Hey, by the way, I want to change the subject here just for a little bit and change gears. Friday night, we had one of the nicest times that Deanna and I have ever had. We had a whole bunch of our friends get together and go to Duck Ugly's, 163 Highway 30 in Burley. Oh my goodness, it was the grand reopening. The food was fantastic. The music was fantastic. The whole evening was fantastic. And I got to tell you, I think they served about 500 or 600 people that night. It was unbelievable. And don't forget, you can stop in now for breakfast Monday through Friday, 6 to 11. They're serving breakfast, and you gotta try Jack's world-famous burrito. Ho, ho, ho. Food is great at Duck Ugly's, 163 West Highway 30 in Burley. And they're going to have entertainment all through the course of the week, every Saturday. They've got smoked barbecue ribs. I'm telling you, this is the place to go. Duck Ugly's, 163 Highway 30 in Burley. You stop in and see those good folks today. We had a really good time over there the other evening. Absolutely. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, in about 10 minutes, we're going to have back on the program Kathleen Hartnett-White, and we're going to be talking about how stupid, and it is, how stupid this administration's energy policy is, or lack of, to run down the coal-fired plants, run down fossil fuels, and try to put their eggs in the nest of solar and wind energy. For those of you in the audience that disagree with me on energy and think that, oh, well, we ought to go to renewable sources and just all have solar and wind power, you are dead wrong. Germany is going broke because of solar and wind power. And she's going to highlight that. You're more than welcome to take notes. We'll have an oral exam on Thursday morning. How's that? I'll tell you, this country has got to come back and revamp, renew, and redo everything that it's done wrong for the last 10 to 15 years. The question is, can we or will we? Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. Yes, sirree, Bobby, whether it's a gas furnace, an air conditioner, or a heat pump, you and your family will always enjoy the comfort. And, of course, Ramsey Heating and Electric has been a Lennox dealer for over 50 years. Please remember to give them a call, 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. We got another hour to go, and I want to remind you that we're going to have Kathleen Hartnett-White talking about energy at 10:06. And then at 10:30 this morning, a lovely lady by the name of Rachel Alexander, and she's going to be talking about socialist Bernie Sanders going up against Hillary Clinton. This ought to be interesting. So stay tuned. We'll be back in about 6 minutes with more Zeb at the Ranch. You have a good day. Oh my, thank you very much. Welcome back. Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, serving you. Absolutely. Along with some of our great advertisers. And I'm very blessed to have, of course, Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call and get on the route service today, locally owned and operated, 734-6969. And our friends at Valley White Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert, always everything for your farm, home, and ranch at Valley White Home and Ranch. We're going to have our guest with us in just a moment. Let's take a look quickly at the Chadwick Sports Grill. What have they got for eating today? The special at 139 West Main in Burley is cilantro lime chicken pasta. Served with garlic toast and super salad. That's going to be very good. Cilantro lime chicken pasta at the Chadwick Sports Grill, along with all the other delicious menu items at the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. Good. You betcha. Also, too, I want to remind you about our friends at Lennox, and we want to say, no, I did that last hour. I'm sorry. Here we are. Four Paws Bed and Bath. Listen to this. They're having their 10-year anniversary open house. It's party time. May 15th and 16th from 11 to 4. And Four Paws Bed and Bath is located at 370 West, 200 South of Rupert. Number to call, I like this, 438-4444. They're going to be serving hot dogs that are free, and they're going to have gifts for a lot of people and lots of giveaways, door prizes, pet treats. Oh, don't miss it. Four Paws Bed and Bath, 10-year anniversary on May 15 and 16. Let's go to the phone lines right now, and I got to tell you, folks, that there are a lot of folks that come onto this program, and I thank them, and I don't even bother sometimes to call them back if they weren't really interesting and didn't know their stuff. This lady knows her stuff, and I'm very proud that she accepted to come back. Kathleen Hartnett-White, talking about energy. Kathleen, good morning. How are you?
Good morning to you, and thank you for saying those nice words.
Well, it's not just nice. I mean, I respect your intelligence, and I respect your knowledge on energy, and quite frankly, after listening to you the last time on this program, I would love to have the power to appoint you as our energy czar, if you will, of this country, and get us out of the mess we're in. By the way, speaking of which, where are we?
There's a happy path forward. There's a positive path forward. We don't have to get rid of the energy that has so transformed our lives. There is a good path forward.
I'm going to ask my engineer, Wheels, if you could turn her up just a little bit. She's a little bit faint in my headsets. If you can turn her up on the air, I'd appreciate that. Kathleen, I have long been a hater of the renewable energy, the winds and solar. And I've said that the wind turbines are nothing more than cancers on the landscape. And it looks like Germany is going through a lack of energy program that has really got them almost on the verge of a crisis. Would you tell us a little bit about that?
I think so. I think so too. And England is not too far behind Germany. Germany several years ago decided they were going to really enact in law an aggressive program to replace natural gas, coal, and nuclear plants with all renewables. and as fast as possible, heavily subsidized the renewables, and the cost was in their system would be imposed on the users of electricity, on homes and businesses. And in a very short time, average retail electric prices are now 3 times what the U.S. average is. And this has led to, if you Google, Germany's energy program, you get phrases like electricity is now viewed as a luxury good. And you get figures from an organization, I think it's called the German Association of Energy Consumers, that claimed last year that up to 800,000 households no longer had electricity in their home because they couldn't afford it, and they were reverting to pre-industrial patterns where you use wood chips to boil water and food in your house, or maybe some little makeshift heating unit in the winter. Which that's appalling to me. Germany's one of the most highly developed countries in the world, and it's not getting better. They're also finding that trying to get more and more and more renewable electric generation on their grid, that you have to have a backup, because if the wind speed slows, or if there's just no more wind, or if the sun goes back behind the clouds, you can't produce steady electric generation, and that implicates the whole electric grid that can just sort of deep fix. And so you have to have coal and or natural gas, somewhat similar, like idling a car, like at a high idling speed, so that those can jump in and replace wind or solar generation, so the grid won't come. Well, that means now, according to some reports, say, just for the sake of an example, say there's a demand for 100 megawatts of electric generation. They have wind now providing that, and then they have to have coal or natural gas on a high idling speed ready to jump in, so that if you want to know one of the reasons why their electric prices have gone, they're paying for twice they're paying for 100 megawatts twice to have the backup.
Kathleen,
and they're now having to subsidize the coal and natural gas because the others have so much subsidy that the coal and natural gas, and I think the clincher on how one article called it the environmental lunacy of Europe. They're excuse me, they're burning more and more wood in power plants, and you can get figures from the European Union that says all their member countries account for right now about an average all what's in their renewable energy portfolio. Wood is providing 40 to 50%.
Kathleen, let me ask you a question here, and I'm very blunt about what I say on this program, and I am not ever going to bend towards the government or liking what they do. Do you see this somewhat as a world plot to diminish industrial nations for basically kind of an equalization or spread the wealth or whatever? Do you see this as a tearing down of industrial nations like Germany and England and the United States, basically to bring them down to a level where it's equal for others?
I think ultimately, yes. And if you go, the different players, I think Germany was just remarkably deceived that wind and solar could do the job. And I think England the same way. Had this thought that, it'll be a little expensive. This will work. It's all laid out there on the engineering documents. But where I think what you just said about a plot, if you go back to the earliest part of the United Nations environmental program, and it has had several chapters. For a long time it was just Agenda 21, and then sustainability became the mantra everywhere you went. And ultimately those didn't get the kind of traction that was envisioned. And boy, climate change or man-made global warming has really gotten that kind of traction. And that all the solutions the sustainability problem or the Agenda 21 issues, and now climate change, assume a very powerful central government.
No,
very unlike ours. To give you how leading officials are, the current head of that part of the UN environmental program that is climate change is a woman, last name is Figueres. She says that communist China is the best model for how an effort to eliminate fossil fuels could be handled, because you need that strong hand of a central government. And I mean, I find it appalling that that we are offered by the leader of the program, at least in the United Nations, that we are told that communist China is a better model for saving the planet than all of the freedom that we have in our democracies. And I think that's very, very, very unsettling. And I think at the level, I wouldn't say our Congress at all, but I think at the level of our the White House and in a number of our agencies, they make the same assumption.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this question, Kathleen. I sat here and I've been listening to you, and I still am. I'm shocked that our news media doesn't tell the whole story. And yet, when we realize that when common sense prevails, and you see that people are treating electricity in this day and age as somewhat of a luxury good, and we see this happening over in Europe, and this President Obama wants to tailor-make this United States into Europe, we can see it happening that we're subsidizing a loser, which is wind and solar energy, and multi-millions of dollars are going literally down the toilet. How long before the American people are going to finally stand on their back legs and say enough is enough?
I couldn't agree with you more. I hope it's not till it hurts. That's sometimes when people finally get religion, if you will, or just see the facts as they are. But I think that many people that share the same viewpoint you and I have, and also just in general are resistant to great national federal schemes like they used in the New Deal, that I think they don't really understand this. They're all kind of uncomfortable talking about energy things or the science of global warming or just even in basic environmental things. And I think with a little bit of literacy, we really need our policymakers to, that the same reason they don't want a bigger government or higher taxes, that they've got to see this green energy scam for what it is. And if you took the government out of it, you took the subsidies out of it, let wind and solar find their niche. We still use windmills on my family's cattle ranch to pump water because it works on our little niche. And I think there's probably all kinds of niches which modern technology for wind and solar will find. But take the hand of government out of it. Let the market economy and risk-taking businessmen let them figure it out. Take the government's grand plans away.
But we have to jump in as people of this great United States, and we have to have representation on the Potomac, whether it's our senators or our congressmen. And they have to show some backbone, because I've said this on my program many, many times. We're headed for an energy policy in this country under the idiocy of green energy that's going to put us all in the cave burning buffalo dung, because that's all we're going to have left.
Well, it's alive and real, because EPA's proposed rule to reduce carbon dioxide, not even by very much, but to reduce carbon dioxide from the electric power sector in our country is the path that Germany has taken. And I would submit it's even a worse path, because we've still got some very strong elements of the rule of law in this country, and the way that our environmental laws, like the Clean Air Act, Clean Water Act, the Endangered Species Act, they really can be enforced. They are rules that carry the force of law. They're not voluntary targets. They really bind private actors in our economy, and so it's very near. It was proposed several months ago. Obama says it will be adopted this summer, and he goes on and on about this will enable him to have leverage in the negotiations he will lead for a global agreement on climate change. So it's here.
Kathleen,
decision points are before us.
I need to interrupt you. We just had an emergency broadcasting system alert, and I don't know if we're back on the air or not. They bumped us for that EMS emergency, and I'm going to check with my board operator. We heard the beep coming down the line. Wheels, are we back on the air? Is the emergency off?
Jerry ran to it. I did hear it just a couple seconds ago, but...
All right, we're back on the air now currently, I understand. Thanks for that information. I can't control when they're going to do that. I apologize, Kathleen. That was just the EMS system checking right away on my program this morning. Let me ask you this about the EPA. Why don't more people understand the EPA is a farce and a joke? It was not a congressionally approved administration. It's not a group of people that have been approved and given any kind of power whatsoever. Why do we adhere to these people? Why do we listen to these people? And why don't we, the people, tell them to get out of Dodge City? Because they really don't have any control over us.
Well, I think more and more people agree with exactly what you said, and I'm one of those that agree. But there's a sense in many people, understandable, that to be able to trust your government about your own health. And EPA, and I've done studies on this, through gross manipulation, comes up with these claims that if such and such a rule is not adopted, there will be 200,000 early deaths, and they go on about childhood asthma and all of that. All of those, if those things were true, one need to be very, very serious and supportive of EPA's effort to avert that prospect, but they're not true. But they're such emotional things, and talk about childhood asthma and things, but what they're saying is not true. The media never covers these hard facts of the matter about this. They always people like scares and worries, it seems, more than facts. And the good news, and there's good news on this, my goodness, our country, now with the access we have to energy, to oil and gas, and our vast reserves of coal, we can be the energy superpower of the world to use it for good and not for extorting people like Vladimir Putin does or OPEC does. We have that before us, and we've learned how to protect from real environmental risks, and they exist. I'm a former regulator. We have dramatically improved air quality in this country.
Kathleen, what would you say it's going to take, and I've only got about 2 minutes left in this segment, but what is it going to take for the general public to say enough is enough and be outraged enough to get this to change? It's got to change on the national level. It's got to change on the local level. It's got to change. People have got to stand up and spit in the eye of these people that want to take us down the path of regressism instead of progressism. We're not progressing as a nation if you don't have an energy program.
I'll give you the optimistic and the pessimistic answer to your question. One is we had a true leader that understood what brings good jobs and quality of life to every individual in this country. A real leader that marshaled the support of the country, because I think we're a majority that have this view, and it's even reflected in polls. But so there's the positive way. The other is going to have to hurt more. Although I'd like to think there's a nerve center. If Obama really puts his signature on and tries to bind this country, and then you get into all kinds of legal things, that whether it is or it is not a treaty, and the U.S. Senate has to approve treaties. But I think that would hit a nerve. I think very, very strong strand in this country about what really makes us citizens of this country is we do not want to cede the sovereignty of our country to any international organization like the United Nations or some new climate board where different nations were represented. I think that's a nerve for many people. We will not accept ceding the integrity of our identity as a country.
Absolutely.
Under our own laws and not the laws of the United Nations.
Absolutely. This is why I wanted you to come back on the program. You know what you're talking of, and that's Kathleen Hartnett-White. Thank you so much. God's blessings to you, and I'll call in the future to have you come back. Kathleen, have a wonderful week.
My pleasure.
Thank you very, very much. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Very knowledgeable lady about energy, or the lack of, and especially what's going on over in Europe. You know, folks, we just need some changes. We need some drastic changes. We need leaders that are going to lead and not be the Obamas and the Hillary Clinton types and lead us down a path of total destruction and regressing into the past instead of progressing into the future. We've got to make some changes. We're going to have more in just a few minutes, but stand by, because right now I also want to remind you, let me get my paper here, about our friends over at Streamline Precision. 120 South, 100 West of Burley, right next to Dot Foods. Call Tim Vaughn today and write this number down, 431-7314, for estimates on what you need built on your property. You know, Streamline Precision is a family of companies providing construction, excavation, and fabrication services, and they are putting up a bunch of on-the-farm storage for grain bins. They're putting up, because they're authorized dealers in Sioux Cup, Chief, Balin, and Nucor buildings. They're doing all the trenching for the pipelines, and they're right now building the brand new Funk Dairy straight south of Murtaugh, doing all the cement work for mangers and feed alleys. And of course, they've got the equipment to handle all your dirt hauling with the big side dump trucks, and they got the big rigs for hauling your big farm equipment from field A to field B. They can do it all, and they will. Streamline Precision, 120 South, 100 West of Burley. Number to call, 431-7314. Streamline Precision, working for you. Really good folks. Oh, and by the way, we are really blessed. On Thursdays, we have a segment on this program called Cassia County School Days. And boy, last week we had a wonderful segment. And I just want to thank all the folks that have been on my program. I thank you very much for all the informative information you've given us regarding school days in Cassia County. Well, it takes a sponsor, and we've got two good ones. One, of course, A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. And if you're expecting a brand new baby in your family, they've got all the baby registries and closure cards for showers, etc. And I didn't know this, but most babies are born in August, and that's why May is their annual Everything for Babies and Toddlers sale going on at A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. And our other sponsor involved is the Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley. Number to call, 677-8888. That number again, 677-8888. Locally owned by Dr. Joe Peterson, orthopedic surgeon. And all the surgeries like colonoscopies and knee surgery and sinus surgery, tonsillectomies, save a lot of money at the Ambulatory Surgery Center, 1344 Highland in Burley. Number to call, 677-8888. And along with the Child's World, they bring you School Days in Cassia County. We're going to take a little break and send it back over to our main studios, and we'll be back. Stay tuned. More Zeb at the Ranch.
And now back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much, and welcome back. Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell. Good morning to you. And don't forget, on Thursdays also, we have another segment called Gardening for Idiots. Yep, named after me. I'm not much of a gardener. I'm learning, though, I'll tell you. Thanks to Vicky's Country Garden at 185 South, 600 West of Paul, and the number to call, 438-5663. For all your gardening needs, it's right there at Vicky's Country Garden. All the Mother's Day hanging baskets are over there, and the new shrubs and the ornamental trees and the planters and the gift certificates, all at Vicky's Country Gardens on the Paul Highway. You stop over and see her today. I want to also remind you, too, about our friends at Lennox with Ramsey Heating and Electric offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. Whether it's a gas furnace, air conditioner, or a heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. Call them at 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Go to the phone line right now, and I'm very honored to have this lady with us on the show this morning, Rachel Alexander. Rachel, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great here in sunny Arizona. Glad to be on the show again.
Oh, sunny Arizona at about this time of the year also turns into sunny oven-like Arizona. Isn't that true?
That is true, and I would not get by if I did not have a pool in the backyard.
Now, what part of Arizona do you live in, Rachel?
Phoenix, just a nice southern, south little suburb called Ahwatukee.
Oh, I know where it is exactly. We try to go down every winter either to Casa Grande or right in that area and spend some time down there. I love your state. You wrote a very interesting piece about socialist Bernie Sanders. And I'm going to ask you really bluntly, is Bernie Sanders a clown or is he a legitimate candidate?
I think he's a legitimate candidate, and him deciding to run as a Democrat instead of an independent that's the proof right there.
Do you really honestly?
And you want me to go on? A lot of his views have now become mainstream among Democrats. You know, you hear everybody calling for things like a higher minimum wage, which 20 years ago, you know, calling for a $15 minimum wage was a kind of a socialist joke, but now it's actually taking place. You know, we're seeing it in Seattle and other places around the country.
Okay, now let's stop right there and kind of wedge his name into all the activity that's going on in the press and the media with Hillary Clinton. Can he be a viable source of contention, hopefully, to overthrow the Hillary campaign?
You know, my gut instinct is he's not the right one. I think he can definitely do a lot of damage to her, but my gut instinct tells me, you know, they're going to want someone who is, you know, young and fresh. You know, that's who these leftists tend to like. You know, he's been around for so long. I don't think he's got what it takes to take her on. Right now, he's polling more than 50 points against her in polls, you know, while polls can change. That's pretty drastic. I mean, and he doesn't have a national fundraising base. He doesn't have a national, you know, boots on the ground operation set up. So I think for all those reasons, he's probably not the right one to be able to knock her off, but I do think he's going to do some serious damage because unlike Hillary, he comes across as a lot more straightforward and ethical. He's very blunt. He's very in your face. You know, you don't get the impression that he's lying to you when he talks.
Let me ask you this then, Rachel, and you put a lot of time and study, and I really enjoyed reading the piece that you had on Bernie. But when you look at those two on the Democratic side, Hillary Clinton, liar, cheat, fraud, scandals, and then you look at Bernie Sanders. I mean, I don't know that much about the guy, except that he's a socialist. I mean, how would you draw a correlation as to which one would be best for the country?
Wow. From a conservative perspective, which one is better, or am I saying, or do you want me to answer that from like a average American looking at the two?
Yeah, when you look at these two, and then we're not going to talk Republican right now on this part of the conversation, but look at the left, the Democratic left. I mean, is this the best they can throw? Is Hillary Clinton, like I said, a cheat and a fraud and scandalized, and then Bernie Sanders? I mean, my goodness, you would think the rest of the American public would be running away from the Democrats.
Yeah, well, what I think's going on is the Democrats realize with Hillary's name recognition, her power, her networks, her, you know, relentless fundraising, you know, she's pretty much almost unbeatable. And so some of the bigger names that might have actually had a chance at beating her, you know, Senator Elizabeth Warren is a classic example. They're saying they're not going to get in the race. And so, therefore, you have these smaller, minor candidates like Sanders are the only ones with the guts to jump in. They just see her as inevitable. You can't beat her. I mean, she'll do anything, and I believe she's completely, you know, ruthless and unethical and corrupt, you know, to make sure she wins.
You know, from a woman's
and the general.
From a woman's perspective on this, Rachel, and I really value your opinion. When you look objectively at Hillary Clinton, please tell me what she's ever done, what she's ever accomplished, what really her net worth to America would be as a president. She's never accomplished anything. She really doesn't have a track to run on. Why? Why is there so much infatuation with Hillary Clinton?
I mean, I wrote an article on her a week or so ago. Exactly. I mean, the only thing I can see that she's ever done is, you know, messed up Benghazi and Libya, and she seems to go around talking about women's rights a lot, which, you know, as most of us realize, women, you know, we've achieved equality, and now it's turning around and discriminating against men, if anything. So, you know, what is lectures on women's rights? How is that helping anything? I think that people are voting her because it's the dynasty effect. It's why, you know, people get infatuated with the Kennedys, and people get infatuated with the you know, royalty. You know, they see her as part of the Clinton dynasty. She's riding on the charismatic coattails of her husband, and on top of that, she's got the sympathy vote because people feel sorry for her because he never stops cheating on her. I mean, just recently he was photographed with prostitutes, and you know, it just never ends until people constantly are reminded. You know, she's always got that sad look on her face, and she's essentially getting the sympathy vote.
Okay, let's take this one step further then and tie the Republicans into this. What would happen, in your opinion, if there was a live debate between Bernie Sanders and Hillary, and they discussed all the hot issues, whether it is energy programs, whether it's national and international security, whatever. When that debate is over and the dust is settled, how would that help the Republicans and their possible nominee?
You know, I think the main thing that's going to help the Republicans is bringing out her ethical scandals. So if Bernie Sanders can start to hit on some of that, and he's been a little bit cautious, but he tends to be a really blunt guy, and so I believe it will come out. I think that's finally what's going to make people wake up and say, you know, this lady is scary. Because I don't think, you know, I think a lot of the foreign policy has gotten so murky, it's hard to tell who's the enemy. I mean, you know, a lot of people thought, oh, we're doing the right thing by going in and toppling Gaddafi in Libya, you know. It's all part of, you know, this Islamic terrorism, you know. But people didn't understand, you know, they're on the other side as well. You know, there were Al-Qaeda-affiliated, you know, terrorists amongst the rebels, and so we were actually helping out, you know, this radical Muslim Brotherhood by overthrowing Libya. So I don't know if the American people quite grasp, you know, differences there between Sanders and Hillary, but I do believe they can grasp the unethical things that she's done, and I think he will point that out.
When you talk about Bernie Sanders and what he's going to promote to the American public, what are his strong points? What are some of the issues that are palatable for the American public to go, maybe he's not all bad? You're taking a long time.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of one that people might like.
Well, let me throw one at you and see what your thoughts are. What about the Trans-Pacific Partnership Trade Agreement? I have always said on this program that our trade agreements are more hurtful to us and the people of the United States than they're more helpful to everybody else. Sanders is against the TPA. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, thanks for refreshing my memory. Yeah, that's the one area that I think a lot of people would agree with him on, especially us conservatives. I've actually written extensively about the TPP and why it's bad for America. You know, it's one of these agreements where we give all these extra advantages to these other countries like China, and they've got unfair advantages over us because, you know, they're using really cheap labor without unions. So, you know, when you put it in the grand scheme of things, we're not competing on a fair playing field.
Right.
We're giving these countries that a lot of people complain how they treat their employees, you know, we're giving them the, you know, a la carte blanche opportunity to continue abusing their employees and you know, have a trade imbalance with us because they've got the advantage. So I agree. There you go. There's one area, you know, a lot of people are going to agree with, and I just don't know if they will understand the difference, because so many Republicans, as you know, supported the NAFTA free trade agreement, which in many ways has become a disaster. So, again, that's such a nuance. I don't know if it will really resonate with Americans, but it is one area that he seems to, understand it, if for very different reasons than you and I might.
Do you think, last question here this morning regarding Bernie, do you think that he can get enough in the coffers, enough money to continue the fight against Hillary to the point where there will be some televised debates, there will be some exchange of ideas on front of the camera, which really will show the true mettle of his worth and hers? Do you think he's got enough cash to go that far?
That's an interesting question, because the news media does seem to be in the tank for Hillary. They're not giving any of even her competitors as much airtime. I do think he'll get into some debates, but I don't think it's going to be anything like the 21 Republican presidential debates or 20, whatever it was we saw last time around. I think he's probably going to get into a handful of debates. And as for money, it's really interesting seeing how all these small progressive groups are dividing up between him versus Hillary. He's got a few of them that are going with him over Hillary, but there's a lot of them that are just defaulting and going with Hillary. So he's not getting that money.
Yeah. I want to tell you how much I appreciate you coming on the program, and I'd like to have you come back. Rachel Alexander, thank you so much. God's blessings, and keep on informing us about what's going on in politics. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Rachel Alexander, and talking about Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders, a socialist, entering the presidential race as a Democrat, going up against Hillary Clinton. I just wish they'd throw somebody on the Democratic side up there that would just absolutely have Hillary running for the woods. Calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Let's get our weather forecast in here, shall we? Brought to you by Scarro's Meats. They sell taste one bite at a time. Yes, they do. They're located at 331 North Road, Jerome, and the telephone number 324-7657. They've got that tax return meat package for $300. You get beef, and you get pork, and you get chicken, and you get cheese. You get delicious. It's absolutely phenomenal. Check it out today. Call Scarro's at 324-7657. That's right. They do sell taste one bite at a time. And right now, here's Michael Rogers' weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers from the Ranch. Got our brand spanking new week of you, me, and weather. Nice day today to start off the week. High 81. That's pretty warm. 81 for the high winds are not going to be a problem. Tonight you get a slight chance of showers, and that's going to continue for tonight, tomorrow, tapering off tomorrow night. Daytime high for tomorrow will be 73. That's because you get a frontal system passing through. In fact, your temperatures will get cooler as you work your way toward the later portions of the week, because you got sun, cloud, and rain in the forecast. You got a system coming through, so once the cold front gets on the other side of you, those daytime highs that were in the 80s for today and the 70s for tomorrow are going to drop down to the low 60s starting on Wednesday and continuing all the way until Friday. Enjoy the day, enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
All right, thank you very much, Michael Rogers, weather.com, brought to you this hour by Scarro's Meats. Don Scarrow and the rest of the outfit over there in Jerome at 331 North Road, Jerome. Telephone number to call, 324-7657. They do sell taste one bite at a time. Calls are welcome and appreciated right now. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. What's your opinion on something? And I'm going to be able to stand the heat on this. There was in the Times News the other day, in the Cheers and Jeers column, a cheer. They said, and I'm going to read this, it's relatively short. And I want your opinion to see if you agree with them or you would agree with me. In the cheers to the U.S. State Department and the College of Southern Idaho Refugee Center, which expects to soon welcome an influx of Syrian refugees. Almost 250,000 people have died in the country's 5-year civil war, and 3.8 million Syrians have fled to neighboring countries, but only 648 refugees have relocated to the United States. Now listen to this. The government says it runs extensive background checks on all refugees who come to the United States. The people who will soon arrive here will be victims, not combatants. We should welcome them with open arms. My question is, why should we? Why more? Why all the time are we being told the government runs extensive background checks on all refugees? No, they do not. And we have heard many, many stories about people are coming in, falling through the cracks in various parts of the country that absolutely have not had background checks on them. Many have connections to Al-Qaeda and also ISIS. And we're told to welcome more people in here with open arms. What about caring right now for our own? My question is, do you think I'm wrong on being so isolationist with my attitude that I don't want any more refugees coming in here? I want to take care of the people that we have here now. Our borders are open and porous, and people are coming in every day at the expense of United States taxpayers. Pay, 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 spend, spend, spend. More people coming in, and now we're to welcome these people in with open arms. Do you agree with that? Please give me a call. I'll take the criticism or your agreements with me. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. What do you think? Just open door policy. More people coming in. Yes, we're wealthy, we're rich, we can afford it. Or can we? Give me a call. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. College of Southern Idaho and their refugee program. I have not been a fan of it since the very beginning, and I'd like your thoughts. So while I do this commercial, please give me a call. Are you ready for travel this summer? Well, I know a place. I know 7 places you can go, and they'll make sure that with the free pre-trip safety check, you can hit the roads and rely confidently on the tires and everything else that you have on your vehicle. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Center is all 7 locations. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't go away. With absolutely all the best in tires for your passenger car tires, your light trucks, SUVs. And don't forget they got the best brake value promise. Just a minute, caller. I'll be right there. And along with the best tire value promise, all 7 locations serving you. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Poline and Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. Front end alignment, shocks and struts, the best in brakes, like I said, batteries, it's all there, along with the very best in tires and service. Get ready for summer travel at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I think that a truism that I believe in is that if something is given away or given to a person, it never seems as valuable as to when that person earns the same thing. And I think that applies to citizenship and becoming an American that believes and thinks like an American, and America comes first, and to be proud and to cherish and to protect, that special privilege to be an American. And if you don't earn it, if it's just given, and that goes for material things too. If somebody just gives you something, it's never as cherished it's never as valued as if you've earned it.
Absolutely.
I think it diminishes the value when things that are so precious, such as U.S. citizenship, are just given to people just because. I think it diminishes the value of that also.
Well, let me ask you a couple of questions. You're very articulate on this subject, and I just want to get your thoughts. We have been told, it's grant money, and all of this can be done without really hurting the U.S. taxpayers. Well, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out where the grant money came from for these refugee programs. But I am really against, now more than ever before, with our open border system, and absolutely we don't know who's here. We don't know for what purpose. And don't give me this baloney about how all the refugees have had extensive background checks. We have found in various places from Detroit all the way to Tallahassee, Florida, that's not working out very well. What are your thoughts about just opening up our community to more people when we can barely afford what we are paying for right now?
Well, what's going to happen, essentially, and it's not hard to see, is that, you know, when you bring in masses of poor people, it makes your society poorer.
That's right.
People working here trying to get by and making a living here, they, you can only take so much from a poor person to give to another poor person. And then, that's what's happening to the middle class. Middle class can't support all of the poor people, the disadvantaged people, and so it's just going to make everybody poorer. It's going to even out it's going to even out the economic system, particularly the United States and countries south of here.
I appreciate your call this morning, sir. Thank you very, very much. Call again. I've enjoyed the conversation. Thank you very much. I'd like some more people to give me a call. I got about 3 or 4 minutes left here, but this welcoming people with open arms, I guess maybe I'm the Scrooge of this situation. I am not in favor of welcoming more with open arms. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Morning, Zeb. I feel that the powers that be who let these refugees come into our state aren't taking into consideration of the citizens that are here and our safety. Like you're saying, that so-called background checks. I don't mind refugees who come in who have something to offer, but the ones who don't, they're just coming here and taking advantage of us, and it is a scary situation to see. They don't really want to assimilate to the United States. They just want to be here.
Well, you
say when they're willing to work for less, and they're not educated, and they don't want to learn our ways or our language or anything.
Well, when you say assimilation and are contributing, these are things that really bother me and worry me, because I am sick and tired of just saying open arms policy, welcome everybody here, but yet at whose expense?
Well, it's mine and yours. I don't, and they said, and you said something about it being a grant. Well, who paid for that?
That's right. That's right.
It was me and you from our taxes, and the taxpayer is getting less and less able to voice our opinions and our concerns to our own state governments, let alone federal government and local government, about what we feel is right and fair. And which, if in our concern for our best interest, they don't seem to care anymore.
Well, and there's another point I want to inject here. I'm not so sure that I am ready to see the erasing of our American culture into diversification of letting other cultures come into America and thrive. I'm sorry, but that's my hardline feeling.
I'm not sorry, and I agree with you. I'm not sorry one little bit for the way I feel about it. This America was great because of the people who founded it, and the generations that followed. They were willing to assimilate and become one with the people that are here.
That's right.
And learn from each other and spread their knowledge from wherever they came from to begin with. But when you get people who don't want to assimilate, who don't want to let go or share the culture, who don't want to learn new things, who don't want to be productive, all they want is gimme, gimme, gimme. And this is the way it's going to end.
I appreciate your call, as always. Thank you very much for this morning's taking the time. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Going to wrap things up here, and boy, tomorrow I've got a program shot full of holes. I had a whole bunch of people say, yep, we're going to be on the air, and then they said, no, we're not going to be on the air. So we're going to have to get some guests in a hurry, but we're going to have another great program. I can tell you that tomorrow we got Dr. History as one of our guests. Always look forward to that at 10:06. Until tomorrow at 8:06, Zeb at the Ranch right here on KBAR 1230, and then streaming live on the internet all over the world, zebbell.com. God bless you and your family, the way things were, the way things ought to be. See you tomorrow morning.